Hello children, how are you all? I hope you are having a great time at home. I welcome you all to today's English class. Today we are going to continue the reading of the chapter The Story of the Aeroplane. So children, in our last session we were discussing about one of the most important inventions to the mankind. That is the invention of the aeroplane. Two brothers who were keen to build something that brought about a revolution in the field of travel were, yes, do you remember their names? Very good. Wright brothers. That is Orville Wright, and the second one was Wilbur Wright. They were the ones who made it possible flying to any part of the world in no time. In no time means very quickly, without taking much of time. Children, like everyone knew, the same ways Orville and Wilbur, both of them were also aware of the fact that birds were the only creations of God that had the ability to fly in the sky. For we, the human beings, it was just a far-off dream. So these two brothers, Wilbur Wright and Orville Wright, they spent hours in observing the birds in flight so as to notice every single thing that enabled the birds to fly. They noticed that the birds rose up in the sky and the curved surface of their wings helps them move up. Birds changed the shape and flapped their wings to turn and control their speed. Yes, it is very important that when birds are flying in the air, they would need to turn also, and they have to maintain their speed also. It's not like that they will move always in a straight line, right? So they used the method of flapping of wings to do all this turning and controlling of their speed, right? Children, the first aircraft that was designed by Wright brothers was a small glider. Like this. We can see a glider over here. It was like a small glider. Not exactly like this, but it was a small glider. And it was flown like a kite. So these two brothers, as they had observed the birds in flight, what did they do? They curved the tips of the glider's wings slightly to control its balance and movement. Because they had seen birds using this method to turn and control their speed, so they also turned the wings of the glider slightly. They thought of changing the shape of the wings of the glider to fly it successfully. Yes, we had read till here. The Wright brothers thought that they could use this method and change the shape of the wings of the glider to fly it successfully. Now, over the next 3 years, the Wright brothers designed many gliders that were flown unmanned or without pilots. They realized that a good control of the flying aircraft was the most difficult problem. But they were not afraid of failure. After a successful glider test, they built and tested a big, full-sized glider at Kitty Hawk in North Carolina. The place was suitable because of its wind, sandy soil, hills, and remote location. Okay. So, over the next 3 years, the Wright brothers designed many gliders that were flown unmanned or without pilots. Children, once they had made a glider, they didn't stop there. They continued making improvements in that. So, over the next 3 years, during the next 3 years, they designed many gliders. Not just one, they designed many of them that were flown unmanned. Unmanned means, yes, not having a pilot. Yes, it was just the glider that was flying in the air. They designed many gliders that were flown unmanned without pilots. That means there was no pilot in those gliders, and they had made them, the Wright brothers had made them such that they could fly without the need of a pilot being in them. Right? That is called unmanned. Unmanned, without a man in them. Without a human being in them. Right? They realized that a good control of the flying aircraft was the most difficult problem. Okay, realized means they became fully aware of that, or you can say they understood it clearly that the most difficult problem was a good control of the flying aircraft. Because it is still simpler to start it. Once you start that glider, that aircraft, you need to control it. Right? Control everything about it. Its speed, whether it should turn, when it should turn, how it should turn, and all those things. So one needs to have a good control over the aircraft. So they realized, they understood it, that control of the flying aircraft was the most difficult problem. It was the most difficult problem or the toughest problem. But they were not afraid of failure. See how nice it is. What happens with us? When we try something and we fail, it's not always like that we will be successful in the first attempt, whatever we do. That's not always possible that we'll be able to do whatever we are doing or whatever we are trying to do in the first attempt. So we may fail also. So what happens? At times when we fail, many thoughts come to our mind. Sometimes we feel that I won't be able to do it, or I can never do it, or it is impossible. But what you can learn from Wright brothers over here is they were not afraid of failure. Not afraid of when somebody is afraid of failure, afraid to fail, what does that mean? That when we allow the fear to stop us doing the things that can move us forward to achieve our goals. That is when we are afraid of failure. That we have a fear in our mind that we won't be able to do it, and then we stop ourselves from doing that work. But that fear was not there in the minds of Wright brothers. They were not afraid of failing. So they tried again. Again, after a successful glider test, they built and tested a big, full-sized glider at Kitty Hawk in North Carolina. So, after a successful means when you accomplish a desired result, when you accomplish or you achieve something. So, after a successful glider test, that means it turned out how they wanted it to be. So, after a successful glider test, they built and tested a big means, yes, huge, full-sized glider at Kitty Hawk in North Carolina. So, there was a place in North Carolina where they built and tested a big, full-sized full-sized glider. The place was suitable because of its wind, sandy soil, hills and remote location. Yes, why did they choose this place, Kitty Hawk in North Carolina? Because this place was suitable. Suitable means appropriate, or you can say it was right or correct or appropriate. Why it was appropriate? Because when a glider or an aircraft is flying in the sky, the wind speed also needs to be noticed. What is the wind speed and all? So the place was suitable or appropriate because of its wind. So the right wind used to blow over there. Sandy soil. The soil over there was sandy, which might have helped them to launch the glider, or maybe while descending down, it would help them. So the soil over there was sandy, which helped them. Hills and remote location. Remote means far away. Remote means far away location. Why was it important to choose a remote location? Because children, one cannot do such tests in the city, because when these are tests and people are living around, so while they are testing, they are never aware whether the test would be successful or not. And in case if it is not successful, then the glider might fall down or some accident might take place. So they had to choose a place which was far away from the city area, far away from the area where people were living, so that no harm is caused to the people. Right? So such tests are always carried in a remote location, a location which is far away from where the people are living. Right? Okay, let's move further. In 1900, they were successful in flying a big 50-pound glider with a 17-foot wingspan at Kitty Hawk again, both as unmanned and piloted flights. Okay, then children, in the year 1900, they were successful. Who were successful? For whom this word "they" is used? Yes, it is used for the Wright brothers. The Wright brothers were successful. Yes, they achieved. What did they achieve? They were successful in flying a big 50-pound glider with a 17-foot wingspan. What is a wingspan? Yes, wingspan is the maximum extent across the wings of an aircraft measured from tip to tip. So the entire wingspan of the glider was 17 foot and the weight was 50 pounds. And again, where did they do this test? At Kitty Hawk again, because that place was suitable because of the wind, sandy soil, hills and remote location we had just learned. So again, this test was also carried out at Kitty Hawk. Now, it was done as unmanned and piloted flights. Unmanned means, yes, we had learnt over here. Unmanned means without any pilots. So now this glider was flown both ways. One wherein no pilot was there and another as piloted, that was operated by a pilot. Okay. So that flight was successful. That was in the year 1900. Let's move further. In fact, it was the first glider having a pilot. They decided to build a bigger and better glider. Their thrill and excitement could not be expressed in words. Okay, so in fact, it was the first glider having a pilot. Okay, earlier they were flying the unmanned flights. Now this glider that they flew in 1900, that had a 17 feet wingspan and 50-pound weight, that was the first glider that was ever flown that had a pilot in it. Now, after it was successful, they decided to build a bigger and better glider. See how nice it was. They were successful, but they did not stop there. They thought of making something bigger in size and better glider. Better means that operated in a way better than what they had made. So there is always a scope of improvement. So they were also step by step trying to improve their glider. Their thrill and excitement could not be expressed in words. Yes, children, whenever you achieve something or whenever you do even a small work, as good as maybe when you get full marks in your exam or in just a small dictation also that your mom might be taking at your home. So maybe you get 10 on 10. You're very excited about it. Yes. In little things that we do, we are so excited. And this was something great they had done. Right? So their thrill means, a strong feeling, a very strong feeling of pleasure. Pleasure means happiness and excitement. When you're very, very happy, you have a strong feeling of pleasure, that is called thrill. And excitement. Excitement means when you're very excited because something interesting is happening, or that something interesting is going to happen in the coming time. So they were very excited, and this excitement could not be expressed in words. Children, what does this mean? Could not be expressed in words. When something can't be expressed in words, it means that it is beyond expression. That means something is, so powerful and so emotional that you can't even describe it. You don't have even words to explain it. It is difficult to put the ideas and your emotions into words. You cannot express it in words. You can just feel it. So that thrill, that excitement could be just felt by whom? Yes, the two brothers, that is the Wright brothers. They were so excited about it, and they were thinking of making something bigger and better. So We'll read till here only now in today's session. And were they able to make a bigger and better glider, or were they not successful in making a better glider? What happened next? For that, children, we'll continue this chapter in the next session. Till then, take very good care of yourselves and stay happy. Bye-bye.